I'm Phil Gale. Welcome to the programme. We start in Afghanistan, where more than 800 people have been killed in an earthquake and more than 2,800 reported injured. Officials say the magnitude 6 event struck the mountainous region near the city of Jalalabad. Rescuers were struggling to reach remote areas due to rough terrain and hostile weather. Entire villages have been destroyed, and it's feared the death toll could rise sharply, with many people trapped under the rubble.
This is all that remains of a village in northeastern Afghanistan. In Kunar province, homes made of mud bricks and wood stood little chance against a magnitude 6 earthquake, powerful enough to rattle even concrete buildings. Now, these children stand before the rubble that was once their home. The quake struck a remote mountainous region, making rescue operations even harder. And Taliban officials admit the true scale of destruction is only beginning to emerge.
Rescue work is underway in various areas, and we have some areas where rescue teams have not reached yet due to difficult terrain. We have reached them via helicopter, but not by road, because it's very difficult.
Since the initial quake, at least 5 aftershocks have struck, some even topping magnitude 5. This aerial footage shows the sheer extent of devastation. Afghanistan sits on a seismic fault line, where the Indian and Eurasian plates collide. It is one of the world's most earthquake-prone regions. Here, a vital road has been swallowed by rubble. Evacuation is proving difficult. The injured are carried on stretchers across rough terrain. For cut-off communities like this, helicopters remain the only lifeline. But with too few hands and too little equipment, every rescue is agonizingly slow.
Currently, 4 or 5 helicopters have carried the injured, and the evacuation is still ongoing. This is a major disaster. Many houses have been destroyed, and a lot of support is needed to rescue people from under the rubble.
2 years ago, an earthquake in the same region killed about 1,000 people. Now, another disaster has struck a country already in deep crisis. Nearly half of Afghans rely on aid, but since the Taliban take over, much of that support has dried up. For survivors, rebuilding will likely depend on help from beyond Afghanistan's borders.
Well, about an hour ago, I spoke with Samira Sayed-Rahman from Save the Children. She just arrived in Jalalabad.
So in Jalalabad, it's actually not the most impacted areas. The areas in Kunar and surrounding provinces, we're hearing that entire villages have been flattened. Our teams were able to reach some of these communities where families are having to stay outside, and aftershocks are continuing to terrify children. But the most impacted areas are still inaccessible, as you showcased in the clip earlier. The earthquake that took place in the middle of the night last night and the subsequent aftershocks that hit this region have led to landslides and have closed off many roads, making it extremely difficult for humanitarian actors to be able to reach the people. As you said, hundreds are dead, thousands are injured, but the true toll is likely to rise as these isolated communities are reached.
And so how do you go about reaching those isolated communities? Do you have to wait until the roads are cleared? Is stuff being helicoptered in? How does that work?
So right now, rescue teams are working tirelessly. The most impacted communities, the roads are being cleared as we speak. We're hopeful that they will be hopefully cleared by the end of tonight or early next morning. But also here in Nangarhar province, we have many communities that have been impacted many homes that have been destroyed, and children and families who have died as a result of this devastating earthquake that took place last night. Helicopter access to the most remote areas is limited, meaning many areas are still unreachable. And this is why we're expecting the toll to be higher than what is reported right now. Save the Children and our partners are coordinating with local authorities, with other agencies and organizations on the ground to be able to provide what is needed immediately. We have deployed health teams to the affected areas who are treating the most immediate injuries that they are seeing in those areas. Others who require further assistance are being airlifted to the capital of Nangarhar, Jalalabad, but also to other provinces as well.
And so how are healthcare services coping?
Local health facilities have already been struggling before the earthquake due to cuts in major funding sources to Afghanistan. We have seen globally international contributions to humanitarian response has dwindled in the course of the last year, but particularly here in Afghanistan. And now these facilities are completely overwhelmed. Hundreds of facilities in these affected provinces were closed earlier this year due to suspensions and cuts of funding that occurred. Hospitals are overcrowded. There is a critical shortage of medicines, of supplies. Right now, mobile health teams like the ones that we have deployed have been sent out into these areas, but many more are needed to be able to treat not only the injured, but to prevent disease outbreaks. These are also areas where the earthquake took place that have warnings for flooding and flash flooding in the future. So children in particular are vulnerable not only to the traumatic injuries that they faced in the immediate aftermath of the earthquake, but the associated illnesses that come with a lack of access to clean water, a lack of access to, adequate facilities, and when they don't have shelter and when they are sleeping outside.
Thanks for talking us through that. We wish you well with your efforts. Samira Sayed-Rahman from Save the Children.
All right, we want to bring in now journalist Ali Latifi, who is in Kabul. Ali, what can you tell us about the scale of this disaster?
The scale just keeps getting bigger. Earlier in the morning, when we first got reports, it started with 20 dead. It went up to 250, 500, 600. Now, as you said, it's more than 800. And the reasoning for that is because it happened late at night, around midnight local time. And in these very remote areas, obviously there is no electricity, and people live in simple mud homes that are not made to withstand the pressure of an earthquake. And when they are responding to the situation, digging through the rubble, it's essentially with their bare hands in the dark. So it takes a long time to reach people, and obviously the more time it takes, the more likely they are to succumb to their injuries. The Islamic Emirate has been sending helicopters since last night, but obviously there's only so many helicopters that can go around. And even when you're transporting the injured in a helicopter, you have to be certain that you have proper medical supplies, that you can keep a watch on them, and that, how many you can transfer at a time. So there's a lot to sort of consider when figuring out how to react to a situation like this.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the difficulties here that rescuers are facing in reaching these remote areas.
So I've been speaking to people from different international NGOs, and they're saying that even if they have teams in the affected provinces in Connaught and Nangarhar, getting to the actual sites is very difficult at the moment because typically these roads are unpaved, they're dirt, they're rocks, they're sand. They're difficult to drive on a normal day. And now when you have to face landslides, just destruction of roads by the earthquake itself, destroyed bridges, all of that makes it much more difficult for people, even say in SUVs, to properly reach these areas. So right now, other than helicopters, people are trying to figure out the best way to get to the people to see the situation and help them address their issues.
Yeah, that would be difficult in the best of situations, but we know before this earthquake, Afghanistan was already facing a humanitarian crisis with foreign aid having been slashed when the Taliban returned to power. So what means does the government have at this moment to respond to this latest disaster?
Throughout all of these disasters that have taken place during the Islamic Emirates rule, they've actually been really good at trying to establish teams and response units that bring together different elements of the government from different ministries, and bringing in doctors, flying in doctors and medical aid, using the helicopters that they have at their disposal, using what money they have at their disposal. But obviously, they have much less money at their disposal because different countries decided to put politics over humanitarian need and cut funding because they don't like the people in power.
Okay, journalist Ali Latifi reporting tonight from Kabul. Ali, thank you.